You're listening to the Run the Riot Podcast, where we talk about all things ultra running. I'm your host, David Terrio, and man, I'm pumped that you are here. Let's see what we can get into today. Today on the Run the Riot Podcast, we got Run the Riot athlete Andy Becker. What's up, Andy?
Not much. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How you feeling?
I'm recovering.
Well, so we're almost a week out. Yeah, we're a week out from your first 100-miler at the Yeti 100 in Washington, man. So that's pretty good, man. How is the soreness right now, though? Is it?
It's fine. I mean, like, honestly, my foot, I can't tell if I bruised it or something, but one of my feet hurts. But other than that, my legs are ready to start running again and
like it
and get back into it. It's just, I'm taking it easy because I don't want to injure myself.
That's it. I know a lot of times you feel great and you want to start getting at it, but your body still has a lot of things it's got to repair and put back together. Well, you know, you and we've been working together for a little bit, and so I know you, but we need all the people out there listening to get to know you. So let's share a little bit about who you are, what you do, and all the things. So let's start with where you are. Where are you right now?
Okay, I am in Portland, Oregon. So we are experiencing a heat wave actually right now.
Okay, what's a heat wave?
It's gonna be 96.
Oh,
so not that bad. That's pretty warm.
It's pretty warm. We've been pretty warm here. Had a heat index of 100, and the heat index was 113. It was 90. I think the real temp were like 96 or something like that. But the humidity here, it's pretty nuts. So, okay, all right. So, are you? You've always been there? Grew up there? Yep. All right. Cool deal. And you are a music teacher.
I am. I teach middle school choir.
That is awesome. That is cool.
It's a lot of fun.
It takes a special person to teach middle schoolers anything.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. My daughter, she's in middle school. Well, she was in 6th grade going to 7th grade, and she took choir. She's always done it in church, but she loves it. She enjoys the singing and all that. It's got to be pretty fun though, like, because I know I grew up in choirs and stuff, and people who don't grow up like in a church setting or a setting where there's a lot of choirs and stuff, when they start singing and maybe realize they can sing or learn what a harmony is, that's got to be fun to see that, huh?
Oh yeah, it's a total blast, and watching middle schoolers, especially like those adolescent children, realize they can do a lot more than they thought they could do. So it's what keeps me going to work.
That's cool. And you get them around the time. A lot of them, the guys especially might start off alto, soprano, and end up start the year off there, and then in the middle of the year, end of the year, they end up tenor, bass, baritone.
Yes. It's the summertime transition that always gets me, because I'll have some kid will be like, "See you next summer or next fall," and then they come back and like, "Hey, how's it going, Mr. Becker?" And it totally blows your mind.
We're gonna change your seating arrangement now in the class.
Exactly.
That's awesome. That's fun, man. That's good. Just for everybody to know, you share a little bit about like growing up, what you've done as far as an athlete or anything like that.
Okay.
What have you done, before you started doing these runs?
How much time we got? So honestly, up until about 2010, I didn't do anything athletic. I was in the Army Reserves. I could barely pass a PT test. My high school career was spent doing music. I played trombone. I played in orchestras throughout Portland, and that was my life. And then I got into running when I was diagnosed with MS in 2010. And then my doctor, I was 220 and a pack a day smoker, really out of shape. And my doctor basically said, "You're killing yourself right now. You got to do something." Wow. And then I started getting into triathlon because I am heavily influential. I can be influenced by anybody. And one of my coworkers said, "Hey, you should go do an Ironman." And so I said, okay. And so I started training for that. And that's really where the whole endurance thing started, is getting into that.
Yeah. So it's hard for me to imagine, because you had already lost a bunch of weight and you were in shape and stuff when we started talking and stuff, to imagine you at 220, and a pack a day smoker, because like you're a healthy eater now and all the things. Yeah. And so that's hard to imagine. So like it took getting MS for you to decide to get in shape.
Yeah. I mean, that's really what it was. I mean, it took MS it was scary. I mean, getting a diagnosis of like, you could wake up tomorrow and not be able to walk. No. So basically, I mean, it was a hit and slap in the face, because I was in the middle of grad school. I was getting my master's degree. And then basically had a house dropped on me. And realized I need to make changes. And I mean, like the smoking thing, I quit cold turkey. It's like, I've been smoking for a decade, and I was just like, I'm done. That's kind of how my brain reacts to things, apparently. It's like either all or nothing, as my training might say. And so it really kind of kickstarted into something. And then my mom was a runner, so I started running. I didn't get into the biking or swimming yet, and I started running a little bit and doing the 2-minute walk, 1-minute run, literally from zero. And then it just blossomed from there and went on and on and on until last week when I'm gonna go run 100 miles.
Yeah. Well, when we started, when you looked me up, we started, working together, of course, and we asked questions and stuff. I'm like, oh, MS is, what are we going to have to deal with? And fortunately you were on a regimen of shots pretty regularly, and you haven't had many issues with it since we've been working together, since we've been training. And so it's been good. And then you just recently changed medication in the middle of the training. and no issues. So it's been pretty good.
No, it's moving down the right path. So I'm very fortunate. I'm one of the fortunate people who has MS and can actually go out and do that stuff. So
no, that's good. That's good. Well, so since you've gone from ultra marathon, and then you've built your way up until where we are, and so the question I want to ask you is, like, we did these other races, you train, and I just have to say, everybody listening, those who listen know I talk about consistency is so important. And I just want to say, like, Andy, you've been consistent. You've been so consistent. We use Training Peaks to do the training, and I can always count on yours being green. It's just always, unless something, maybe we've had one or two, something happen, but yours is always, you trust the process, you go through it, you do what you have to do, and you get it done. And I know it's not easy. You've got a family, you've got a wife and kids, and you work and like everybody else, but you find a way to get it done. So anyway, I just want to make sure you know that, and give you kudos on that. And I want people to hear that. Hey, people do that, So.
No, and it is hard, because my 2 kids, I've got a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, so they take priority, and it's meant a lot of, especially these coming months before the Yeti, it was up at 2:30 in the morning, go knock out a 6-hour run, and then go have to do a birthday party or do something family related. So it was fun. But the consistency, though, I blame on my mom, because I view it's like a checkbox. My mom used to give me checklists every day because I have ADHD. So it's like a checklist for me, which is great, because I'm like, okay, what are we going to check off the box? I've got to do an 1.5 hour long run, and I've got to do core today. Okay, check those off the box. So I blame my mom for the consistency.
No, that's really good. And so I guess for people listening, and you gave a hint of it earlier, like, how do you you got to do it, you make it a priority, but you've got other priorities too. So is that mostly how you did things? Is, I know every now and then we'd had to shift days around or whatever, because you've had family things. That happens for everyone. But for the most part, you made it work by just getting up early.
Yeah, or just trying to fit it into the schedule. It's so much easier. The mornings are so much easier with our kids. The afternoons are always, for my wife and I, always kind of all hands on deck, because the afternoons are harder. And it just turned out to be easier to just get up before light and go out and knock out a couple hours. I like running in the dark. I like running in the morning.
Me too.
So I'm not a fan of you know, like, okay, we ate dinner, the kids are in bed, I'm going to go for a run. I'm done by then.
I'm not wired. And I have runners that do that, but I'm not wired like that, man. But I eat dinner and it's like, all right, let's wind this sucker down.
Yeah. So, I mean, and my wife and I have, my wife Rachel and I have, like, we have a handwritten calendar that everything goes on that way. We know what's going on. And it's been, there's a lot of sacrifices she has to make. There's a lot of, you know, and so, and I would hate to be that person who selfishly, because running is selfish. I mean, especially endurance running, it's selfish. Let's be honest. We're gone all day.
Yeah, it is.
But I don't ever want to be that person that's like, well, you've had the boys all week because she's a stay-at-home mom, and then, oh, by the way, on Saturday I'm going to be gone for 6 hours.
Yeah,
you know. So now you have the boys again, and that's not a lot of teamwork in that. And so I try and do everything before the boys are awake, basically.
Yeah. No, and that's good. And like you said, priority, your family's a priority. And it's hard because, like you said, it's selfish, but you got to get the work done in order to be able to get the results. So you just gotta figure it out, you know? You got to figure out how to do it. No, so with all that business, you did really well. And I attest, you know, when runners are successful, I mean, a huge part of it is just being consistent, you know, putting in, doing what they're supposed to and on a consistent basis. And so you did that. How was, you know, you stayed pretty positive during training, and we didn't have a whole lot of, issues, injury type stuff or anything. You just kind of handled it.
I mean, I didn't have any injuries, quote unquote injuries, but I mean, you got a few text messages on some of the longer runs where like, dude, I'm walking a lot. And you're just like, it's just time on feet. Like, and that kind of stuff. And I think there's a lot of a mental barrier on a couple things because, you know, I've gone out and I've done 50Ks and I did a 100K last year, but it just wasn't there. And the idea of the upcoming 100 of like, oh, I'm walking, and I couldn't get it past my brain that you can walk this as an 18-minute pace and you'll still finish in time. And it was more of oh gosh, I'm walking. I can't walk during this 100. I'm like, yeah, no, I walked a lot during that
100. And that's one of the things. And I think and we'll get to it in a little bit. I told Ryan said, well, he's walking a little bit more now. You know, Ryan was his crew and he was awesome. We'll talk about him in a minute. He was cool. But I was like, just tell him, keep moving. Relentless forward progress is what I say. Keep telling him relentless forward progress. And that's the thing is, in most of them is, you know, you want to move as quickly as you can to get done as fast as you can. Ryan said he wasn't going to tell you that because he can't tell his cross country kids that move faster, you finish quicker. He said that's a bad thing. But anyway, but man, if you go, as long as you keep moving, you know, and keep your head together, you know, you can get it done. But in training, so you know, you did well and you had ups and downs. How did you because training, if you're training for a 100-miler, it's going to get tough. You're not going to feel like getting up every day. I'm sure there were Saturday mornings where you're like, I got to get up. I got to go run 4 hours or whatever. Like, I don't feel like doing this. I got stuff going on. How did you motivate yourself? Like, what was your why? What's your why in deciding to run 100 miles at the Yeti?
I think there's a lot to that. So a lot of it has to do with, again, my MS. Like I have this, this kind of, I don't want to say it's a mantra, but I have this ideology that, you know, it's not going to ever bring me down, and I'm not going to ever allow that unless, you know, I have a relapse or something. But it is one of those things where it's just like, I have to remind myself, you know, I have buddies who have MS who can't do it, who would love to go out and do that. And it's kind of like, I'm over here in bed complaining in my head that, oh, I don't want to go run and do something that I have friends who would kill to be able to do. So that's a big motivator for me. And it's also, for some odd reason I always like to have a goal that I'm looking forward to. And if that goal's set, then there's no stopping it. I mean, it's like, okay, we have a goal, we're going to do this. You know, we had a goal, we're going to buy a house. We figured out how to do that. Had a goal, I want to do an Ironman. Okay, so how do I do that? Okay, great. And it's like, set the goal, you know, plan it out, and then and then execute, and then it's nice. Plus, honestly, those long runs are really nice for just time to think. And that's for me, I can listen to my books. I can just run. Getting out in the woods for 3 hours is really nice. So I live in suburbia,
it's
I always find the positives. And again, being in Oregon, it rains all the time. And there are a lot of those winter days though, that it was just like, oh gosh, this is awful. I think there's 1 or 2 this year where it had snowed or something. And I was like, I'm getting on my bike now. Cause I don't have I don't have a treadmill, but like, I'm not going out in this. So.
Well, what was your so when people ask you, because I get asked this a lot, like what do you think about when you're out there training for hours on end? What do you think about? What do you tell people?
I'm ADHD, so it's a constant stream of randomness. I mean, it really is. It's like, I think about, the greater being of where we are. I think about, what's been created around us. Being out in the woods, it's just, I honestly, I don't know what I think about half the time. I listen to books. I have audiobooks. I do a lot of, I spent some time where I was trying to learn something about a subject, and I just checked out every audiobook I could about it. And I spent about 3 months listening to audiobooks on that subject, which is, I learned a lot, and it was great. And I actually retained it.
That's good.
So,
well, that's what I tell people. I think about everything and nothing. I solve all the world's problems, and then I usually forget about it by the time I'm done with the run. But I also do, because we spend so much time, I do listen to a lot of books, podcasts, trying to further my knowledge and my thought processes as I'm preparing my body to run, so I do a lot of that too. And sometimes I run with nothing, and just get inside my head, which is a scary place sometimes. But I think everybody, if somebody says it's not scary up there, they're lying. But
they're not thinking.
That's right. They're not thinking. That's right. Because it goes crazy places. But no, and I like what you said, because a lot of the areas you run, we're not, in Oklahoma, we definitely have some pretty areas. I run a lot in town, which I know you have to too during the week a lot of times. But man, to get out in nature and just creation and just see the beauty of it, and there's, I don't know, just something about it that, I don't know, it's like we need to be there. Like I can't imagine people who grew up in a city. And there are people, and then seriously, there are people who never like go into the woods, on a trail, on a hike, on a camping trip. There are people right now who are adults who have never been to the woods or, or a mountain or whatever. And that blows my mind, because man, I need that.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting, because in Portland, we have a place called Forest Park, which has the famous Wildwood Trail on it. And it's literally, you can walk there from downtown. And there's probably 100 miles worth of trails, just like that close to downtown. Yeah. And I'm always surprised and be like, I've never even been up there. Like, go. Like, literally
why
right
not?
there. Because, I mean, and it's just like, some people just don't even think about it. But yeah, I mean, I'm very fortunate to live in an area where I can go drive 15 minutes and be in a beautiful state park. And it's not a big state park, but I've knocked out a 50K in there and 3-mile loops, but it's still beautiful and it's quiet.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah. Well, okay. So we talked a little bit about training, and we definitely want to get to the Yeti. We need to unpack it, because you and we've texted a bit, but we haven't even talked about it and kind of unpacked it. And then, so we'll get to do that while everybody listens, but I want to walk through the progression real quick. So, you, when we started talking, you had done Ironman and stuff, and then you wanted to do ultra. And so, let's walk through the progression and how you feel like your body responded as you did each one. So, so tell everybody what your first ultra marathon was.
So in May of 2020, I did, during our wonderful COVID years, I did a self-supported 40 mile. That was a 4 10-mile out and backs from my house because I wanted to do it before I turned 40. So that one actually went really well. I had another triathlete friend who was doing a 40 miler as well, and so we met like part way through, and we spent about 20 miles together.
That's cool.
And I actually, honestly, I was tired, but I felt pretty good.
Yeah.
And considering I didn't have a coach then, I didn't train with anything.
How did you train for that?
I just went on a lot of runs.
You just ran a lot. just ran a lot. I got to run a lot, so I'm going to run a lot. So I got to run a lot.
I mean, this is what I did. And I'm sure I injured myself and probably did a lot of things wrong on that one. And it probably could have been it was pretty miserable the last 10 miles, but
but you got on, just suffered through it. Yeah. Yeah.
And then right when we started working together, I did the Cook Park 50K, which was a kind of a backyard. It was like a 4.5 mile loop in a park on pavement. And that was fine. I mean, honestly, I don't even remember it hardly at all.
Yeah.
Because there was nothing. It was shorter than the other one. And it was just kind of like, oh, this is my first real race.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what did we do? I did Silver Falls 50K, which was, I highly recommend anybody who's in Oregon if they want a November race, you get to run behind and by, it's like 16 or 14 waterfalls in November. So
that sounds
highly recommended race.
Yeah. And it's not an easy race though, but it's beautiful. It's a lot of, I forgot what the elevation gain was for it, but it's
like 4,000 something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not a lot of steady climb. It's a lot of up and down and up and down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've done that one a couple times. And then the big one last year was the Tillamook Burn 50 miler that I DNF'd at 18 miles because at that point at 11 miles or 14 miles, we'd already done 5,000 feet of vert.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't ready for it. You and me talked afterwards and kind of realized, man, maybe you were sick because your heart rate was really high. I don't know. But that actually is where, and we'll get into him later, where Burger Guy or Ryan, my crew member, really came to be a true crew member, but we'll get into that later. And then my redemption was the Angry Owl Ultra, which was a 1 mile loop for 24 hours. I stopped at 20 hours when I hit the 100K mark, but I'm going to probably do it again in August. Oh, by the way, that might be another one I'm doing, David. I didn't bother to tell you that yet.
Okay. All right. We'll put it on the list.
We'll talk later.
Well, August is right there.
It's like August 10th. So it's a month and a half.
Okay. All right.
Less than a month and a half.
You'll be recovered.
Right. And then basically we started training for the 100 at that point.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, we knocked out a couple 50Ks, but nothing big.
And did Stumptown and
I did Silver Falls again.
Silver Falls again. Yeah.
I did Stumptown a couple times. Stumptown is again right 5 minutes outside of downtown Portland. And you're
so cool
on trails it's a hard race too. It's not easy.
Yeah.
So
we you did all these, learned, and a DNF in there, like, we were looking at it and definitely you put the work in. It's hard to, and it's a reminder that you can put the work in, you can do everything right, but either sickness, something, things happen, stuff happens.
Mental. I think there was a lot of mental there. I look back on it and there's no self-service out there. I mean, it is truly in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. And I think I got in my head about it and like, oh gosh, and you're also running and there's sections that are like 1.5 feet wide and there's a cliff on the other side. And you're like, if I fall, nobody's going to see me or hear me and I'm dead. And
that's that guy Andy who disappeared during a race. Remember him?
Yeah, weird. So, and a lot of it came, I think, into the mental aspect of it as well, which was good for me to have because then I could figure out a way to work around it because on a 100 miler you get into your head a lot. So
yeah. Well, let's get there, man.
All right.
So we trained for Yeti, planned it out, looked at everything. You did a good job of, doing your homework, making sure. I know they changed the course kind of, toward the end there. We had to pivot a little bit on training, tested out nutrition, did all the things. And worked on getting your crew and pacer of one to come out. And so I guess from leaving your house to head to the race, let's go from there to the start line, and how did that go?
Actually, it went really well. So Ryan, my crew member, Ryan Burger Guy Schwartz, I'm going to drop his name because
Burger Guy,
he's getting Burger Guy. I mean, and he's getting famous apparently. I'm not kidding. But so he and I met at my first teaching job about an hour away, had an hour towards Snoqualmie Pass. I can't pronounce the name, up there in Washington. Snoqualmie Pass. There it is. So I met up at him. I drove up to him, and then he has a small trailer. And so we hooked his trailer up to his truck, and we drove. It took us like 5 hours to get up there. It should have taken 3. I mean, there's road construction.
I was gonna say, I thought it was like 3 hours away.
Mm-hmm. It was a little rough, but again, I mean, we were having a good time. He and I, we don't get to hang out very often, so it was really nice just to be able to hang out with my buddy. And so we got up there, and it started pouring down rain. I mean, like, just awful. And so we got there was race check-in happening at the snow park where start finish was, and they were like, yeah, just park your trailer like in any of the parking places. So we parked the trailer basically right on the start line.
So when he says trailer, he means camper. It's a camper.
Yeah, camping trailer. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, that's good. I just want to make sure everybody's like, park a trailer.
Yeah. He put a 53-foot trailer on the back of his F-150. No. So we got it all situated and went down and got some food from the snow park. There's some really great restaurants apparently that are in this tiny town called Hayek. And then hung out in the camper and got things ready. Started, he's burger guy, so he brought up about 100 patties, burger patties. So he had to cut onions and tomatoes and all that stuff. And I had to get my race gear together. We went over, the night before, went over the race. I gave him my instructions because, it's good to ask him. And honestly, like, that was something he and I really talked about a lot, is like, here's protocol and here's what I want you to do. Because I didn't want to have to be like, hey, where are my bottles type of thing. Because I use Ultra versus Proxima C from Ultraverse Supplements for their nutrition, which is you mix it in with water. And so I have it set up for 250 calories per hour per bottle basically. And so, I mean, he was there ready to, he was just figuring out how, so I just got to I was like, just bring 4 bottles every time. I don't know how long it's going to take. And then he went and got in the cab of his pickup truck and slept in his pickup truck. And I had the entire camper to myself.
Oh, wow.
And listened to the pouring down rain in the 41-degree weather. And we didn't bother turning the heaters on because, well, I mean, we didn't have that much propane. And I had, so I slept like a baby the night before. I fell asleep probably around 11, which is a little late for me, but I woke up at 4, like I had slept for 8 hours.
Nice.
Got up and walked outside, and it was totally clear. It was cold. It was 41 degrees, which is a nice way to start. And and had a cup of coffee, ate some breakfast, and ended up, wandering around outside. And I had this random person come up and start talking to me because we were both outside, and ended up we both knew you. And so
Justin.
So Justin and I had met randomly. Nice. and had a good chat about before the race started, and then it was game time at that point. 7 o'clock hit, and it's like, here we go.
So what'd you end up eating for breakfast? I know people are always like, what do I eat for breakfast? It's like, well, you got to figure that out.
I ate the same thing I eat every day. I do this from Costco. It's just like granola with almond milk. I had a bowl of granola with almond milk. I didn't have any high protein, anything. I didn't do anything different than I ever do, which I probably should have, but whatever. It didn't affect me. I mean, it's the same thing I've done on my 6-hour runs where I found that if I fill my stomach, I'm not happy. But if I, the granola sits well.
Yeah, no. And that's, that's what your long runs are for, to test out before you run, during the run, and everything. And, if you'd have done something different, who knows, it might have blown up in your face or in your stomach or something, you know, and it could have been bad, you know? So yeah, do what you do what you know works.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So Yeti is known for, you know, they put on these races that are kind of a I don't know, a party, everybody having a good time while they're suffering. Did it live up to the expectation for you?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay, gotcha.
It was, I mean, Jason, the race director, he's awesome. Like, and he was great with communication, because I mean, I was writing him like, dude, can we park our trailer up here? And it was like, hey, my buddy's going to bring hamburgers. Is that cool? And it was very family friendly, just super happy party. And it wasn't, I didn't have that nervousness that you sometimes get before a race, because everybody was just chill.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. Let's go have some fun.
Nice. Like, how many people ran it? I don't remember what the
they said 112 registered, I believe. I don't know how many people actually ran.
Okay.
There was enough.
Gotcha. Yeah. It says 64 finishers, but yeah, so that sounds about right when you look at the DNFs and those that didn't start. That's cool. So you get out there, you get all ready to go, you geared up, and the race starts. So I always tell my runners, like first mile, and then mile 2, like check in. All right, am I going too fast? Do I need to settle in? You know, because personally, and most people end up going out a little too fast. So you got to kind of check in and then sit back. So
right.
Yeah. So did you do that?
I mean, pace wise, yes.
Yeah.
Pace wise, I mean, because your pack mentality, you're running together. But my heart rate, because I try and base everything off those zones. Yeah. My heart rate was sitting down at like 140, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go this pace because we're good.
Yeah.
I'm not blowing up. I'm not hurting.
Yeah.
I know that this is sustainable because the heart rate.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I did, and it was the weirdest start, because he's like, and go.
Yeah.
And that was it. It was no air horn. Nothing. Okay, here we go.
Why are you still here? Go run your race.
and then we actually sped up. Everybody pretty much sped up at about a quarter mile, because that's where we started the tunnel. And
gotcha. Yeah.
I think people get a little nervous in the tunnel.
Yeah. So, let's get through this thing.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, so you're cruising along. I know, and I was getting check-ins from Ryan, which he'd ask questions like, hey, what do I check on? What do I, which was fantastic. I love it when a crew's like, asking, or, hey, he's dealing with this. What do we do? And I love that. He's like, I'm not bugging you. No, you're not bugging me. Let me know what's up, and I was getting to hear how everything was going as you went along. And so anyway, you take off, you go, and things for the first good bit, like you were feeling great, cruising right along. So, how long did that go, and when did that change for you?
So, I mean, the first 21 miles is quote unquote downhill.
Okay.
I mean, nothing is steep, because it's a rail trail.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we went through the 2.25 mile long tunnel. So we ran through a mountain, which is really cool.
That's awesome.
And I actually ended up just kind of pacing along with a guy. And so we started chatting, and we ended up running that first 21 miles together.
Nice.
But he was trying to keep a 24-hour pace. And I was aware, but I also was watching heart rate, going, we're fine. I'm not. So I was running 13-minute miles. And then at 21 miles, you turn around and start heading back up.
Yeah.
And I started up. Yeah. I mean, and it's 21 miles of uphill.
Yeah.
Maybe 2% grade, but 2% grade will definitely take its toll on you. And I tried to keep up with him. And then I had that aha moment of like, this is stupid. I'm not going to do this. And I said bye to him. I was like, hey man, have fun. I'm going to just keep it down, because we've got another 80 miles to go.
Yeah. I'm going to run my race.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of dialed it back, and I started walking. And I was walking a 15-minute pace. I wasn't like dawdling. And I kind of had this mindset. I've always been sort of a back of the packer. And even at Silver Falls, I'm always a couple minutes away from cutoff. And I had that realization that at an 18-minute mile, the first 20 miles, we were running 13-minute miles. Like, we banked a ton of time, and anything that's under an 18-minute mile is going to continue to just bank time. And so the aid stations at that first 21 miles, it was like first one was 13 miles. And then the second one was like almost 8. And then again, 13 miles back, or 8 back, and then another 13. So they were spread pretty far.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just kind of enjoyed nature. It was a beautiful day. And
Yeah.
I mean, and you look over to your left because you're up on a hill, but you're on an old train trail, and you're looking and you're like, you can see the valley and you can see the freeway down below and the cars going. I mean, it's like I can walk this for all day long because it's gorgeous, and I'm just going to take it all in.
Well, kudos to you for, realizing that. And because it's great to be able to run with people. And I remember, he texted me, Ryan texted me, said, hey, he's running with somebody, and they're going together, and they're doing the same pace. It's great. But to know when it's okay to say, all right, you do your thing. It's hard sometimes. You want to keep up, you want to push, you want to talk to your new friend, but sometimes you just gotta run your race. And so good job. I mean, on doing that and peeling away when you need to, because ultimately, you could have tried to stick with him and you might have burned yourself out pretty quick. I don't know what exactly he was doing, but you have to run what your race. And that's what you did. So, all right. So you do the 21 miles back uphill. How are you feeling after 42 miles of that?
I was warm until we hit the tunnel, because we had to run back through the 2.25 mile long tunnel. And it's the weirdest thing because you can see the end of the tunnel.
Oh, really? The whole time you can see it?
See this little dot of light at the end of the tunnel, and it takes forever for it to get bigger.
That's crazy.
But I ended up I caught up with a couple people that were walking my pace. And so we, were jogging. Actually, at that point we were jogging. And so I just chatted with them, and then you pop out of the tunnel and you quarter mile and you're back at the start finish for one of the aid stations, where Ryan was ready for me to come in and cooking burgers and literally taking orders from people and volunteers and crew members. And then he finally looked at a guy and was like, dude, this is my guy, so you're going to have to wait. Like, this is, he's priority.
That's cool.
We changed shoes, changed socks, changed shirt. Because, unfortunately, because it's gravelly rail trail, I didn't wear gaiters, and I should have. Lesson learned. And so there was a lot of gravel and stuff in my shoes. So we just swapped socks, and got some food in me. I had been experimenting because I'm a plant-based runner. I don't eat meat. I don't eat anything animal products. I made some tofu Thai salad rolls. So it was just like marinated salty tofu with rice and cucumber and carrots in those wrapped in rice paper. Yeah. And those things were the bomb. I could carry 3 of them in my pack. That's great. I'd be sitting there just scarfing at people. I'd be going by and looking at me like, what is wrong with you? These are really good. They were like, where's the sauce? I was like, the sauce is in the rice. I thought about this. So that's definitely going to be one of my go-tos in the future now, because it sat well with my stomach, and it was solid food, because I was sticking with Proxima. Yeah. Pretty much that's all I was eating. Or drinking. But so when we got going and started trucking off the other direction for another 10 miles, what was it? 10 miles out, basically 10 miles back. Okay. And then we had to do that because we were at 40. We had to do that 4 times. Yeah. So 40. Yeah. 4 times 4 is 3 times, because it's 20 miles out and 20 miles back. Yeah, I can do math, by the way. I'm good at that. So music and math. I'm a choir teacher. We can count to 8. Nice. And just kind of started trucking along, and it started to get dark, and there's because they're out and backs. There's an aid station. There's a 3 mile out and back that Ryan just joined me on for all 3 of those. Oh, nice. Which was nice to just have somebody to chat with, and be able to, complain. I wasn't complaining the first time yet. The second time, once it got really dark and we were sitting at 18 hours, I started getting a little bit grumpy. But I didn't stop. Just kept going, and nice. And then at about 2 a.m, I think that was on the second loop, finishing up the second 20. So let's see, we're 20, 40. No, we were 40, 60. So it was like mile 70, basically, is where we're at, 75. This random dude came running up to me and started walking with me, and he was wearing a jester hat.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Am I hallucinating?
I thought for a second, but I also knew Ed the Jester was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know who Ed is?
Oh yeah, I know who Ed is.
And
Yeah.
I didn't know all about Ed, and we actually hung out for like 3 hours walking.
Nice.
And it was so great because I'm like, he's kind of talking about how many races he's finished, and I'm like, and you just walk him? He's like, yeah. You know, I get it done. I'm like, okay, we're good. He goes, yeah, you're fine. You're going to finish in plenty of time. But it was a little trippy having some random person in a jester costume.
That's awesome.
In the middle of
Ryan sent me a picture after because he helped him at one point or something.
Yes.
I said, "Oh, you met Ed? I didn't know who he was. I thought he was just some crazy guy wearing a jester." I was like, "He's done a lot of 100s, like a lot of 100s.
He's like a world record holder."
Yeah.
But it was interesting because, and I don't know if it was fate. I don't know why it happened, how it happened. But when he came up on me, I had almost run off a cliff. I'd fallen asleep while running.
Oh, wow.
And I caught myself. I had turned a little bit. I mean, when I say almost, I still had like 5 feet before I went off. But I mean, I mean, and it wasn't a total, it was like a really steep downhill into a lake. So I probably would have gotten hurt. And it would have sucked getting back up. But I mean, it was like him coming up on me was like the right moment.
Yeah.
And he even said, and we were talking, he's like, yeah, I was falling asleep. So I found it good to talk to people to stay awake. So
that's awesome.
Finished that one, and then I was allowed to take a nap. So I took a 5-minute nap.
He texted me. He said, I'm going to let him take a nap. How long should I let him take a nap? I was like, all right, we started calculating. I was like, he's got time, man. Just let him take a nap. 10, you can give him 10. He only gave you 5? I told him 10.
No, I woke up at 5.
Oh, you woke up? Okay, all right.
I woke
told
myself
him you could
up.
have 10. All right, yeah.
Yeah, I woke myself up and went and used the restroom, and I kind of surprised him. He's like, oh, you ready to go? I'm like, yeah, let's go. I want to be done. I only have 20 more miles to go. We're at 80 miles. Like, let's do it.
Let's do this. Let's get it. Yeah.
And then go ahead. Sorry.
No. So I was going to ask, this is your first time like going through the night. And so it sounds like you went through the typical, you get fatigued and get pretty tired and all. So where did your mind go? Did you go to some just, I don't know, dark places, questioning life, questioning why in the world you're out there in the dark trying to do this thing? And how did you deal with that? Like, how did you just keep going,
I mean, it wasn't technically the first time I'd run through the night because the angry owl that
that's right. Yeah.
But I mean, that was different. It was a different feel because I could have realistically just gotten in my truck and driven away every mile.
Yeah, you could have stopped anytime you wanted to.
I couldn't have with this one. Yeah. But I went into kind of the dark places and started questioning why the heck am I doing this? But it's also, I think I'm mentally prepared for it because I've listened to enough podcasts and talked to enough people. They're like, dude, you're going to go there. It's like, there's no escaping it. You're not going to smile the whole time.
You might want to, but it's not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen. And Ryan, fortunately, on one of those the last 3 mile out and back, and I was in really not a good place. And he walked with me, and he's all cracking. We have video of it somewhere, and he's like cracking jokes at me. And I was like, I was like super, super grumpy. And of course, once it got light, I apologized to him because, I mean, I'm sorry I was a jerk, dude. But, and you go through those and there's no giving up. But it's also something I noticed that it wasn't just me who was going through all those.
Yeah.
It was everybody at that. What is it like that 2 to 4 in the morning?
That's terrible. It's hard, dude. It's hard.
And, and you're out in the middle of the woods and you hear things. Yeah. And then you're like, great, now I'm going to get attacked by a mountain lion or a bear because we have them out there. And I, of course, saw fresh scat on the trail as I was going.
Nice.
Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But no, I realized how bad it was. I pulled my phone out, looked at pictures of my kids.
Yeah, that's good.
And, watched a couple videos while walking. Probably not the safest thing to do, but it's gravel. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
I only almost fell once, and that was at like mile 15. So
Yeah.
But I mean, and then it was weird. As soon as it started getting light, I wasn't necessarily in the best mood, but it was like, okay, we're almost done. Because then it's like, okay, now I've got 25 miles to go.
Yeah.
And I have less than a marathon. I can do this.
Yeah.
And it was like, I have less than a marathon and like 9.5 hours to do it. Or no, at that point, it's like 10 hours to do it. I was like, okay, we're good.
Yeah, I got this.
Walk.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we got through it. Ryan cracked some good jokes for me. Turned around and started going back and grumbled at people as we walked by each other. And that was the other really cool thing. So they changed the course. So it had these 3 out and backs that you had to do.
Yeah.
Because apparently on the pass the week before it had been snowing, and there were people coming in from the flatlands, and they're like, we're not going to make you run in 41 degrees in the cold if you're not used to it. For me, I'm like, yeah, I'm in shorts and like a sweatshirt and like a long sleeve shirt on that. Let's go. I'm good. But you know, again, Jason wants everybody to finish. So
yeah,
it was one of those cool, and it turned out being really neat because you have so many out and backs that you're seeing people, and it's not, I mean, I don't know if you've spent enough time alone on one of those hundreds, but I spent enough time alone even on the short ones where I think it prevented me from going really into a deep place. Yeah. I saw the guy a couple times who was trying to make the 24-hour pace. Saw him a couple times, and we cheered each other on. So it really worked out to be a super positive race, even in the dark time. So
that's cool. That's good, man. Did you ever at any point during the race entertain like just shutting it down, quitting?
No.
Good.
No.
It got
thought
dark,
about
but not that dark.
No, yeah, I thought about that too, because I was like, I should be wanting to quit right now. Yeah. But then in my head, it's also like, I've done a lot of work and my family sacrificed a lot to do this. So, and like Ryan, who crewed for the one I DNF'd. Like, I'm not going to his wife has given up, and kids have given up his weekend as well. Yeah. Cause he's got 2 littles. And so I'm like, no, we're not letting anybody down at this point. Like, we're just going to keep going.
I'm not
injured.
My legs
working.
Yeah. I'm not injured. I'm just hurt. just whatever. Just a regular hurt, normal hurt, normal pain. Yeah. Well, so man, you keep plugging through it. Ryan's handling it, taking care of you. Sounds like he did a fantastic job. Yeah. And then so you do that, you get that last out, and you're coming back. How's it feel to know like this is the last time you have to do this out and back, this section?
It felt really good until about it's so deceptive because it's rail trail. The hills are super deceptive, and the last 7 miles are like you go downhill for a while, but then you go back up, and it started getting hot. Like really hot. Because it was that, I mean, I could have sworn it was like 2:00 in the afternoon. I knew it wasn't because the race would be over then, but like that's my mind was like, okay, we got to be getting close. It's getting so hot. It was like 7. And actually, fortunately, like my wife and kids FaceTimed me because we had cell service out there. So that was great. But it got really hot. And that last 5 miles was just every corner, like, because you can see the finish line from like a mile away.
Oh,
it's a straight shot, which is
good.
Awful.
Which is good, it's great and bad at the same time. Like, there it is, and it's still far.
It's like in Monty Python and the Holy Grail when they they're running at the castle and it's like the same distance. It was totally that. Like, I'm not getting any closer, but like every corner going around, and it's like, oh, there it is. No, it's not there. And there's no mile markers along the race. And I had accidentally stopped my watch like the first 10 miles. Like,
so you were off on your mileage.
I was off. I didn't even know what the mileage was. So I was asking other people, and nobody knows what the mileage is because you've been going out in the mountains for 100 miles. But finishing it was super sweet. You know, got the buckle. I actually ran through the finish. So I hadn't run in a while, and I was like, I'm gonna run. And then seeing the video, it looked pretty funny.
You thought you were running really fast, didn't you?
I really did. I'm like, we're running 15.
Sprinting. You look at the video. I am not sprinting.
No. But yeah, I mean, and it was great because for the first time, most races, I just want to pack up and go, and we just hung out for a while.
Nice.
And chatted with some other finishers. Chatted with Justin. He was at the finish line. He DNF'd unfortunately, but he hung out and. It was great talking to him, and
that's cool.
And Ed finished like a couple minutes behind me, so chatted with him, that was a trip because he sat down and went to sleep, and we're like,
he just sat there and crashed.
Ed just passed out. We're good. Okay, we're good. And so it was a lot of fun, and having Ryan there was great, and being videographer.
I got a big kick out of his video because he was cheering for you, and it was a genuine, like, you could tell that dude was excited to see his buddy finish 100 miles. Like, you could hear it in his voice, and that was really cool when he sent me the video, and I was like, yeah, I love it, dude. That's great.
Yeah, it was.
And then Justin sent me video too. So I got two different angles of you finishing. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, no, and it was great, and I mean, it wasn't crowded. And that's totally fine. But there's still people there, and we hung out for a while. I think we were there till the last finisher because there weren't a lot. I mean, I guess there were 2 or 3 more maybe before when we left. But I was also sitting there falling asleep, and and that was bad. So I got some food in me, and we loaded up the truck, and Ryan already had the trailer and everything all ready to go, and so we just loaded up and started heading home, and I fell asleep almost instantly.
Yeah,
woke up a while later.
That's right. That's it.
And then proceeded to do that like 3 or 4 more times on the drive home.
Yeah, are we there yet?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so cool. It's funny because you've done like Ironman and like marathon type things, and there's so many people at the finish lines.
Yeah.
Like, and I've told this story before on the podcast, but when my wife, when she first. It was like 100 miler, and I podiumed, and like she's there and cheering me, yay! Like I finished, there's like nobody there, and it's like that's it. All right, let's go. It's like it's just so kind of chill but exciting at the same time.
Yeah.
Your why can't be the crowds because there ain't no crowds.
No, and the people who are there though are, I mean, that's the race director, and if you got a good race director, I mean, they're there.
Yep.
Handing out the buckles.
They're happy for you
Yes.
and share in your excitement,
Right. And that's really Jason's thing for these Yeti races is he wants everybody to finish.
Yeah.
Like that's his goal.
That's cool.
Because, people get turned off to and I won't say this was, I mean, it was 100 miles, but it wasn't a mountain 100. It wasn't,
right.
It wasn't something with like 40,000 feet of vert. There's 2,500 feet of vert.
Yeah.
Which is flat, but still, I mean, it was a huge. It's such a cool. I mean, I think I'll probably do it again, maybe.
Yeah. So that being said, okay, so you went home, and how did your wife and kids react? You come home and you got your swag, you got your buckle, and look, that's what people say about. People talk about the buckles like, oh, I'll put mine in somewhere. I don't care about it. Yeah, put your buckle out there for everybody to see it. Who look at the video. That is an awesome buckle, dude. It's an
awesome buckle.
It's got Yeti on it, dude. It's fantastic.
That's right. It's got a Yeti.
I love it.
And this bridge is one of the best views during the race.
Oh, and it's got the tunnel too. I saw a little tunnel thing on the side.
The tunnel's right there on the bottom.
Nice. I love it. So how did they? I mean, So your kids, your wife, they saw the sacrifice. They saw you coming home all sweaty and stanky. See you sore. And they knew the work you put in, and then you come home and you got the buckle. How did they react? Were they excited for you, or was it just
they're
like,
super excited?
That's cool.
They were super excited, and my wife Rachel is super supportive, and
that's cool.
I mean, she was cheering, and I was getting text messages throughout the race and FaceTimes, and they were super excited. My 4-year-old doesn't really get it. He's like, was that a long run, Dad? I'm like, it was really long. We haven't talked about next races yet because I'm going to give it some time because again, it was a sacrifice, and I know I have some plans, but again, I'm not going to I'm not
Okay.
gonna bring those up yet with
Okay,
them.
because I was gonna ask, but we don't have to. We can talk about it off
no,
air if we have to.
no, we don't. I think I know I know I want to do another 100. I don't think a 200. I eventually want to do the Cowboy 200.
Yeah.
Put on by Ultraverse, but that's in the Midwest, and that's a huge sacrifice.
That's some travel and days of being gone. Yeah.
Yeah, a week or more. So I'm not quite ready for that yet, but I think probably this time in about a year I might be up for another 100-miler. Or Angry Owl and actually do the 24-hour and see how far I can go in 24 hours, those types of things. I want to try and keep things a little bit closer this next year, just because, I mean, you know as well as I do, I mean, it's a huge family sacrifice, and it's not fair to be like, okay, I'm going to go away now for another week and away. But
well, you can just take the whole family to Nebraska. You know, there's all kind of things for the kids to see in Nebraska. Bridges and stuff, corn,
some soy,
daddy running. Daddy running. What did you see in Nebraska? Corn and dad running. That's good.
Right. We'll figure something out. I mean, I try and find some fun new race that I haven't done yet. You know, and that's why Yeti. I really like these rail trails. Because they're more accessible. And you know, I'm not personally ready to go out and do something with 20,000 feet of vert or 40,000 feet of vert. Because that's just not where my interest lies. And okay.
That's it.
You know, more power to the people who do it. I think that's awesome. That's not me right now.
No matter what the terrain, dude, you worked hard. You made the sacrifices, you put in the work, and you covered 100 miles on foot, and you did it. And, you know, you figured out, you went to the dark places, you kept pushing through, relentless forward progress, and, you know, you figured it out. And that's, man, I'm proud of you. You know, I love, my wife always tells me, she says, you know, I see all those, like she talks about Walmsley when I say something, man, Walmsley ran this at, you know, Western State. She's like, yeah, but that's what he does full time. I'm more impressed with people like you guys who have kids, have a wife, work full time, and train your butts off and go out and do these things, you know? And so it's like, I know, but it's still cool that he ran that fast. But I appreciate it, baby.
and I'll be the first to admit, like, I have suffered from imposter syndrome for years. In the ultra, and it's like when I finished that race, I'm like, all right, I don't have it anymore. Like, there you go. It's gone.
You are a legit ultra runner, and you got the buckle to prove it.
Right, I got a buckle. That's all that matters.
That's right.
It was funny because Rachel was like, I made a comment about wearing the buckle to work because the race ended on Saturday, and I started teaching summer school on Monday.
It's a good plan. It's a good
plan.
My
legs surprisingly felt good. Like, I was okay. Like, I mean, I was sore, but it wasn't. I didn't think I'd be walking. But and she's like, you're not wearing the buckle to summer school. I was like, no, you're right, I'm not. And I don't have a belt that can take a buckle. I have to get a different belt. And I was like, okay. And plus, it's like the people who are working for summer school, they wouldn't get it. My colleagues that do get it, they're not there. So, I mean, it feels good to be done with it. I mean, I'm proud of it. The accomplishment is great. I feel better. Like, I feel more accomplished and more excited and less depressed afterwards than I did with Ironman. Because Ironman, I really hit the wall as far as like, when, you know, the post-race depression. And I don't even have that. I'm like, I'm super motivated. I want to get back out running, and I know I'm not supposed to.
A lot of walking.
A lot of walking. But yeah, I mean, so we're just, you know, it's nice to be done, and the summer's like just begun. So now I can have the summer to, you know, hang out with friends and not be like, hey, I got to go because I'm going to get up at 2 a.m.
Yeah. You know, that's good. And you've earned the downtime. So enjoy it, you know, and, you know, like we've talked, I believe in active recovery. That's why, you know, got you just walking and stretching, just moving, you know, just keep moving, but take the time for physically and mentally, because you've done so much. You need the to kind of just that little reset, on your body. Just for you, and it's good, man. And I don't know, I'm proud of you, dude. You did it.
Nice.
And it's you did it. You knocked it out.
Got it done.
You got it done. I got it done. And I have no doubt with your mentality, no matter what you choose to do next, you put in the work and you'll do it. And you just have to find that, whatever that thing is, whatever that next thing is you decide to do, and then get to work and get it done. So, and when your wife says it's okay.
Yeah. Well, it's, when the family says it's okay.
Yeah, that's right. So real quick, before we close out, let's let everybody know what gear you used for the race.
Right.
What shoes did you end up wearing?
Brooks Cascadias.
All right, cool. No issues on the feet, huh?
No.
Good.
Like my toenails, I was expecting to lose toenails. I'm like, they're totally fine.
Nice.
So,
What socks did you wear? I don't remember.
the ones that I bought from Portland Running Company, like, they're just not even toe socks or anything, just regular ankle socks.
Yeah. All right. Just socks. Okay. Good. And what did you do? Tell everybody what you did pack wise.
So I'm using the Ultraspire. I can't remember the name of it.
Is it the Momentum or the Legacy you used? I don't remember.
The Legacy is the bigger one, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, the Legacy. Yeah, use the Legacy.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I actually had the Momentum as my backup if that one went bad with my stuff. So,
Nice. There you go. And which watch are you using?
Phoenix 7 Solar.
Cool.
Garmin.
And it stayed. Yeah. It kept you going the whole time.
Yeah, I still had like 30% left of my battery.
That's good. That's awesome.
That race, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's fantastic. What other? And you use Proximacy for your hydration, and then you ate your fun wraps.
Salad wraps.
Yeah. What's the other thing? I think that's it. I think that's all the things I normally ask. Anything else that what is the biggest thing that you learned not to do, and then the biggest thing to do during the race? Like what were your big takeaways during that?
Big takeaways. I learned not to have my books playing the whole time.
Okay.
I realized partway through my race that it was because I was listening to a series and I had multiple ones ready to go, and I burned through 2 of them.
That's great.
That time.
Yeah.
But it was, and I started getting grumpy and kind of angry about it. Yeah. And I realized I need to turn this off. So that was a big one. I learned how everybody's really nice in ultras. Like, and I knew this already, but in the 100-milers, they're even nicer. And coming from, and no issue with triathletes or anything, but it's just, there's a little more competitive edge to triathlon. And that's not me. I'm more of the, hey man, let's go out and go for a run.
Yeah.
So I really took that away, and I knew it would be, I don't know. There's so many positives that happened out there, and helping each other out, and just, that was kind of a big takeaway for me. Yeah. And I guess another negative was my stomach started not wanting to take anything in, and I reduced my calorie intake. Yeah. But I guess that's pretty common. So
it happens. And you just end up having you try to eat what you can and run with a little deficit. Yeah. Yep. Well, and I just, and we've said this before a lot on the podcast, but yeah, the ultra trail community is pretty special. And I love running with people I'm competing against, but we're chatting. You make friends on the trail. And you encourage each other. You want to help each other. You're not doing it alone, and it's, I don't know, misery loves company, man. And it's fun it's better to suffer with friends and new friends.
Well, and it's interesting seeing people stop and say, hey, are you okay? Mm-hmm. The guy who I ran with for the first 20 miles, I guess the wheels totally came off for him. Yeah. And his fiance was pacing him out for the last bit. And I stopped for a while. I'm like, hey, you okay? And we chatted for a little while, because I mean, it's like in a road race or a triathlon, that would have never happened. Right. And that's, again, that's a huge takeaway for me, is just the camaraderie that everybody's like, we're all suffering. Yeah. And I'm going to lose 30 seconds of time out of out of 30 hours, you know, like we're okay.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Well, and it's this thing. I've been in races where I've offered, if, hey, do you need something? You need some salt tabs. I have ginger chews if you're stomach, and where people have offered me, hey, do you need anything? Like, you're looking kind of rough. You need some salt tabs or anything? I'm saying, no, I'm good. I'll get to the next aid station and, you know, to get there, you know, but I love that. And it's pretty much every race that I've done, you know, sure, there's some people that'll keep running and not worry about you or whatever. But by and large, most ultras, people are checking on each other, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Yeah. So yeah, man. Well, dude, I am, like I said, once again, proud of you. I am looking forward to seeing what else you're going to do. And it's good, man. Awesome. I thank you for the privilege of being your coach, man. It's good. Nice. I love it.
Thank you for coaching me. Yeah. I don't think I would have gone through it without you.
Well, it's the reason I do what I do, and it just gets me fired up. When you get done what you want to get done, it's good.
Yes, it's a good feeling.
Well, Andy, take care, man, and enjoy the rest of your summer, brother.
Thank you. You too.